What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be making a tier list for Helldivers 2. We're going to be going over all primary and secondary weapons that you can bring into the battle. I have about 340 hours and over 100,000 kills. So I just kind of wanted to add my perspective in there as someone who plays the game quite often. I also stream it a lot. So if you could ever stop by, I'll probably be streaming, doing a bunch of missions in Helldivers. But with that all out of the way, let's get into it. Also, if you could please subscribe to the channel, that would be really amazing. Thank you so much. All right, so I made my little tier list here, so let's go over it. So the first part is, this is S tier, which is Super Earth's finest. Then we have A tier, Grade A, Democracy. Then we have B tier, Best with the Side of Liberty. And then we have, this is going to be our F tier, basically. It's Treason. Okay, starting off with the AR-23 Liberator. This is the basic default assault rifle you get. There's nothing really much to say about it. It's fine. It's replaced almost immediately. So I think we'll put it here. I don't think it's horrible. I think it's fine to use. So I'll put it here as our little B tier, our, best with the Side of Liberty. All right, the AR-23 Liberator Penetrator. What a great name. This is definitely an A tier weapon, and it's almost S tier. It has a decent magazine, decent fire rate. You get to bring a decent amount of reserves with you. It's definitely solid, and as soon as you unlock it over the normal Liberator, you should be using it almost immediately. All right, moving on. The Liberator Concussive. This one is actually treasonous to use. This is F tier junk garbage. It does like no damage, it has no penetration. The explosive radius is too small to hit anything around the main target that you hit, so it doesn't even spread damage throughout thick groups of enemies that are next to each other. This thing is pretty much terrible in any scenario that I can think of, and is bested by literally almost everything else that they have to offer. This is going to be harsh, but we got to be real here. The next Liberator in line, the A23A, the Liberator Carbine. This is the same thing as the Liberator. There's really not much to say other than like what the Liberator does, other than it has higher fire rate. That's about it. That's the only difference. And it has worse recoil. So I don't know. They're about the same. They're both fine. I mean, they'll work in a pinch, but nothing amazing there. All right, the STA-52 assault rifle. This is the Killzone DLC that we had, the Killzone DLC that we had pop up. This is also just B tier. It's fine. It gets the job done. Next, we have the AR-61 Tenderizer. This one is decent, only because it has higher damage, but it still has light armor penetration. So I think it's one step above the Liberator team here, only because it does seem to kill heavier units faster and more efficiently than something like a normal Liberator. So I think we have to give it just a slight edge above them. Next, we have the BR-14 Adjudicator. This guy is really good. I would definitely put this in grade A. It's solid. It's kind of like the most solid assault rifle you can get. It has good damage, good armor pen, decent magazine size, decent amount of ammo you can carry. It's probably the most well-balanced and useful assault rifle if you just want an all-arounder to take with you against all the foes. Yeah. All right, now we have the R2124. This is definitely a meme gun. It's not designed for battle, but it's pretty funny. And if we were actually going to count the stats against it, it reloads horribly slow. It doesn't do great damage. It does have medium armor pen, but it has iron sights that you can't even see like 2 feet in front of you with these iron sights. So I think for actual practical use, if you're watching this and you're trying to get some practical information, it's not good. But I can't put it in treason because what it represents. So it's got to go at least in the lowest tier that we have here, and it's going to be here in the B tier. But do not pick this. Do not use this unless you're memeing or you got like mad skills. All right, the Diligence, the first sort of marksman rifle that you unlock. This is also very good starting out. It has light armor pin, so it's not amazing, but it has decent damage. And for when you're leveling up and you're just unlocking new guns, it's a decent place to move from the Liberator to this. You'll get pretty good mileage, and it has a long range scope and all these kind of like things like that. So yeah, definitely useful. Now we're gonna move on to something that basically will make you never use the Diligence, and this is the Diligence counter sniper. This thing is really good, and I'm gonna have to put it in S tier. I think it's a solid gun. If you like designated marksman rifles, this is definitely gonna be your tool. It is medium armor pen. It has really good damage. It comes with good magazines. It comes with a decent amount of reserve ammo. It has a great scope. It's gonna be your S tier for designated marksman rifles, DMRs. Definitely S tier. Great against bots, great against bugs, and great against the Illuminated. All right, the Plas 39 accelerator rifle. This weapon may be controversial, but I'm gonna have to put it in treason. The reason why it's treason is it's a three round burst. It's a sniper rifle with a 3-round burst, but it has recoil, so you can't place accurate shots. And it only holds 3 bullets in the magazine, and then you have to reload. And then the reload is pretty long. It does have good damage, and it does have good armor pen. It just in a game where you know people are playing from trivial to like super Helldive, it is completely worthless at the top end. Like the amount of enemies on screen on the like level 10, because I play level 10 quite often, there's just no chance. It doesn't have enough. It doesn't kill fast enough. It doesn't kill enough, and it doesn't kill fast enough. That's the biggest problem with it. It can't clear lines of enemies. It can't dispatch heavy or medium units quickly. And yeah, if it didn't have any recoil when you fired, so all 3 shots perfectly went where you're aiming, maybe then I could see it being useful, because you can really like take down medium targets pretty easily. But the fact that it kind of has recoil and stuff, it's definitely, in my eyes, just an F tier weapon, especially at the top end, where time to kill and the amount you can kill are very important for what you're doing at those levels. So yeah, definitely this item is treasonous, and I would not recommend it. All right, the MP98 Knight. This guy is pretty good. I would put it in probably B tier. It's a submachine gun. I think it's the fastest fire rate submachine gun, so you can fire with one hand. Does decent damage. Comes with a decent amount of magazines. It's light armor pen, but you're probably not going to be bringing this to take down bigger units. It's probably you're bringing this to just cut through small little units. Next, the STA-11 SMG. This is also going to be B tier. Another solid SMG, can't complain. One hand, good magazine capacity, good fire rate, decent damage, great for just mowing down small targets. All right, the SMG-32 Reprimand. This is S tier. This is weirdly in an SMG category, even though everything about it is not an SMG. It has a smaller magazine capacity, it has higher bullet damage, it has medium armor pen, and you have to use it with 2 hands. So you cannot use it with 1 hand. So it's really like an assault rifle hiding in SMG's clothing there, you know? It's really good, solid damage. It's great for taking down targets. The only negative is the magazine capacity is smaller than average. I think it's like 25. But with that, you do get a lot of reserve ammo. So you can carry a lot more magazines with you, so it kind of balances itself out. And I think once you get it, you'll be pretty happy with it. All right, the SMG-37 Defender. This is the last of the kind of normal SMGs, and I'm gonna have to put it just one above the others, only because it's decent magazine size. It has a lower fire rate, but with that negative, it is dead accurate. It has like no recoil, so it's actually pretty solid against like bots and things like that, because you can really line up these headshots on them and kill them very quickly with some accurate shots. So I think that kind of puts it above the other SMGs that kind of like kick off really fast. This thing is like almost laser accurate. So I think it's a pretty solid SMG. All right, the SMG 32, the Pummeler. This guy has a very unfortunate history. When it came out, it was so good. It was killing everything so quickly. And it has stunning bullets or concussive bullets that stun pretty much all medium targets. This thing was solid. And they pretty much immediately felt that it was overpowered. So they nerfed it, and now it's completely garbage. And I see not a single person ever taking this. I have to put this in treason. They definitely, it was, I will say when it came out, it was too good, but they over nerfed it. They over nerfed it. And now I don't see anyone using it ever. It's terrible. Its time to kill is really high. The positive is its bullets have like stun, but what's the point of stunning an enemy if you don't kill it? Like, that's what I don't understand. There are guns that will like basically obliterate a medium target in like seconds, and then you have this that like takes 15 seconds to run a magazine on an enemy and it doesn't even kill them. It makes no sense. So for that, it's treasonous to use. I don't think it's a very good gun, and I think most people would agree because I don't see anyone taking it. So yeah, that's where I'm putting it. All right, the SG8 Punisher. I'd be lying if I didn't say I have a spot in my heart for pump action shotguns. And I think this tier list may be a little biased only because I think the pump actions are pretty good. Hopefully that doesn't upset anyone out there. I think they're niche. I think they're better against like bugs and the Illuminids and probably worse against robots. But overall, I think they're decent. So I'm going to put this guy in A tier. I think it's a solid shotgun. It does great damage. Does only have light armor pen, but when you do hit these medium targets in the squishy bits, it completely annihilates them. And it does have knockback. So you do get that ability if something's running up on you, you can just hit them in the face. Even if it's, you know, in their armor, it still sends them reeling, and that gives you a chance to get away. So yeah, I think the shotgun, the SG8 Punisher is good. The Slugger, it's basically the same thing. Medium armor pen with a slug round. They also kind of nerfed the damage on it, I think, a while back, but I really wish they would rebuff it because it was really good then. I think it's just a little subpar now, but it's still solid for taking down medium targets, still solid for just killing normal stuff. So for that, I got to keep it like an A tier. The S20 Holt. This guy is really good. I put it in S tier. I think it's the shotgun you want to use if you're a pump action shotgun guy. It has two types of ammo. It has stun ammo and flechette ammo, which is just a kind of like a way to say it has like a tight group shot that shoots multiple projectiles in like a tight group out. Because it has those two ammo types, the stun ammo is good when you run out of ammo. You can just swap to it really quickly, stun a bunch of targets that are chasing you or next to you, get some distance, reload your primary ammo, and then obliterate them. Cool functionality. The only thing negative about it that I can think of is that it doesn't hold a lot in the magazine. So if it had, or I'm sorry, it doesn't have a magazine. It doesn't hold a lot in the tube. If it could hold a little bit more, I think it'd be even better. But I think for what it's worth and what it is, I think it's probably the best pump action shotgun we have available to us. So for that, we got to put it in S tier. The SG 451 Cookout. This guy is another really good A tier shotgun. Who doesn't like making your enemies suffer before they die? I mean, this thing's solid. It's fun to use. It's great to light enemies on fire. Not much else to say about it. It's a cool pump. All right, the SG225 Breaker. This guy is one of the best generally used guns in the game. The only thing holding it back are the fact that it doesn't have that high a damage and that it has a small magazine capacity. And for some reason, you also cannot carry a lot of magazines with it. So it kind of has a lower ammo count. But other than that, this thing is so good. Solid A tier weapon. You could pretty much use it against any alien race and it'll be solid. You'll be fine. Next, we have the SG225 SP Breaker Spray and Pray. This guy is going to have to go in B tier. It's good at what it does, and what it does is kill a lot of small little units, and it's decent at shooting some air units out of the sky. I say some because it's not going to kill like robot little hovercrafts, but it'll kill like flying bugs easily, flying terminids. But because it has such low damage and such low penetration, it does almost nothing to medium units. Like it does almost nothing, which just makes it not as versatile on the battlefield. It's good at its niche, but it needs a little more firepower to kind of elevate it, I think. All right, the SG-2251, the Breaker Incinerary. This one, you know what? This one's straight up opinion. There's no fact behind it. I think this item is just treasonous to use. It is a worse breaker, except for it has the unfortunate tendency to you just fire it out there, and you always catch your teammates on fire and kill them. And also, I feel like most people who use this are doofuses for some reason, because I always seem to be getting shot by this gun, and it's always this damn gun. The only other thing I want to say too about it is it kind of doesn't make sense, because when you're trying to light an enemy on fire, you want to light them on fire as far away as possible, because you want it to burn by the time they get to you, right? So you have a shotgun that has fire bullets that spread out very quickly. So you end up with this weird scenario where you're not even using it as a shotgun. You're kind of just spraying pellets out in the distance, catching little guys on fire and watching them burn as they get to you, which I think is just kind of counterintuitive for something that is a shotgun that's supposed to be like in your face, annihilate. So yeah, I think the Breaker Incinerary is a treason weapon, and make sure you let me know how you feel about that in the comments below. Thank you. All right, the Exploding Crossbow, S tier. It's a great little item, great for killing medium units. The ZB9 is decent to carry, especially if you're one of those people who runs around with a heavy or light machine gun on your back, and you don't really need a primary that often. This thing comes in great to close bug holes, to do AoE damage to little guys, and to do decent damage to medium targets. It's a solid pick for a lot of builds, and I see a lot of people use it all the time, and it's a pretty good weapon. I think it's good enough to be S tier. All right, the R39 Eruptor, another weapon with a very sad history to it. When this weapon came out, it was definitely overpowered. I will never argue that, I promise. But I will say, the way it is now, it is way worse than it probably should have deserved. This weapon was really fun to use when it first came out, because you could basically just one-shot medium units left and right, and it felt like a proper bolt action, like big bullet, like you're dead if you're in my sights. But with the nerfs, or I don't even know if it was nerfs, I think they said it was a glitch and they fixed it. It just kind of fell off really hard to me. I just think that if I were to do anything with it, I'd probably remove the explosive effect of the bullets and just make it a giant bullet, like a 50 cal bullet that just blows, that just kills whatever you shoot it in one shot. It has a small magazine, it reloads really slow, it's a bolt action. It used to be really good because it was bugged, and now that they kind of normalized it, it doesn't really fill any niche anymore. It's not great at AoE. It doesn't kill medium units as often, so you usually have to use 1 or 2 bullets, or sometimes you have to use 2 or 3 bullets to kill medium units. So if I were to do anything, I would definitely just buff the direct damage, so the main target you're shooting with it takes a lot of damage, and maybe the AoE could be like an afterthought, you know, just a little bit of shrapnel or whatever. So for that, I said a lot about this weapon, but I think I'm gonna have to put this weapon in B tier. Okay, the SG-8P Punisher Plasma. This is a pump action, like lobbing, projectile lobbing kind of gun. It lobs like a projectile, it goes woo. It does decent damage, but it's not particularly great against a lot of targets. Not going to be able to use it against air targets. It does really good damage against bots and bugs, and even like, you know, even the Illuminids. It's just kind of a weird gun that has like such a weird kind of lobbing mechanic to it. I think it's good. I wouldn't say it's great, and there are other projectile weapons which we're going to get into later that are much better than it. So for that, we'll put this bad boy in B tier. All right, the Arc 12 Blitzer. This is like a fan favorite weapon. It's an infinite ammo, lightning-ish, shotgun-ish thing that sometimes when you shoot your main target, it arcs lightning off of them and does a little bit of damage to everyone else. I think it's a pretty cool weapon. I think I'm annoyed when it arcs off an enemy and I get hit by it somehow. I don't even know how. The only negatives about it is its fire rate is really slow. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's really solid. I think this guy has to go into grade A. All right, the Lays 5 Scythe. Okay, what do I say about this, guys? I'm sorry. This thing is actually treason to use. The damage is so low. It doesn't kill. Its time to kill is too low. You have to focus on weak points, on targets that are usually moving or running towards your face. It's not very practical for killing a lot of enemies. I mean, even like if you think like a mass wave of voteless running at you, you would be better off with any of the SMGs or any of the Liberators than this thing, because it doesn't even kill them very quickly. And those are the weakest units for the Illuminated. So for this thing is actually treason to use. I would like to see a buff some way or another. If I had to throw a buff in there, I would say cut down the time that it can run for by half, and then just take that damage that it can run for and put it on top, and just make it this thing that like burns out bright rather than burns out slow and boring and doesn't do anything. That's what I would do to it. Yeah, this thing is treason. You know, sorry for all the laser enthusiasts out there, but you're gonna just have to wait for something else. Like the sickle. The sickle is really good. I think the sickle is probably, oh man, where does it go? A tier or B tier? I think the sickle has to go into A tier. And hear me out. The sickle is like the Liberator, where it's light damage, light penetration only, but it has essentially infinite ammo. You do get, I think, 3 battery reloads or whatever the coolant reloads on it if you overheat it. Its fire rate is really good. I'd say the only negative is it does have a startup time before it shoots, which isn't long, but it's still there. And because it's light penetration, it's not very good at dealing with like a lot of medium units that are coming at you, but it's very good at dealing with small, and it's very good at dealing with medium units and like smaller amounts. So for that, I think it's definitely better than the Liberator, I feel like. So for that, the sickle, A tier, definitely. All right, the Lay 17 double-edged sickle. This is the new laser gun that came out with the new war bond. This guy is incredible. This thing has a crazy fire rate. It has a medium armor pen, and it has a great overheat capacity. Now, there is one big thing about this gun that is something that you have to be aware of. As it overheats, it damages you. And if it overheats to max, it burns you alive, which is really funny, but also something that you need to keep in mind. Now, if you use the double-edged sickle, I would highly recommend you invest in wearing armor that makes you more flame resistant. If you do that, you can fire this thing till it's completely overheated and catch on fire and still keep firing it, and you'll be fine. Now, you will have to eventually put out the fire by diving, but other than that, it does incredible damage. Definitely S tier weapon. I think if you want to use it without fire resist armor, just be very careful with it. And if you just want to use it and go hog wild with it, throw on that flame resistant and you will mow everything down. Medium units, small units, it's all chaff to you and you melt it all. I love this gun. Definitely S tier. All right, the Plas 1 Scorcher. This is another S tier weapon. This thing is really good against everything. It has high rate of fire. It shoots plasma rounds that explode that do AoE damage, and the AoE is actually pretty decent. Medium armor pen, and it is just good against pretty much everything. Now, the only negative I can think about it is for some reason you can't carry a lot of reserve batteries for it, even though the batteries are like this big. Like, bro, I could put like 20 of those in my pockets. It'll give us some more batteries to put into it. Other than that, I really love the Scorcher. It's one of my favorite guns. It just feels great to shoot, and it just annihilates everything. So for that, S tier. All right, the Plaz 101 Purifier. We got another S tier, baby. We're on the S tiered gravy train. This thing is a charge up projectile shooter like the Scorcher, but the damage is insane. It's medium armor pen. It has another when it hits an enemy, it does AoE and does good damage, but the actual direct target damage is so good. You can shoot down robot hovercraft little guys, you know, the little hovercraft guys that shoot missiles at you. You can shoot them down with 3 hits. Oh my god, this thing is good. Now, the interesting about this weapon is you can fire this thing without charging it up, and you can fire really quickly with it. So if something's in your face, you can fire rounds really quickly to annihilate it quickly. And then you can charge up the rounds to do maximum damage. This weapon is really good in almost all scenarios. And the only kind of niche about it is the fact that you do want to charge up the rounds. So if you're not into that gameplay where you have to hold down and then let go and then hold down and let go, yeah, this is probably not the weapon for you. But in any other case, this thing's incredible and definitely S tier with like the Scorcher and the rest of them. All right, the Flam 66 Torture. This is a flamethrower gun, and I don't know how this is possible, but it's not that good. I put it in treason. Hear me out before you rage in the comments. Hear me out. For some reason, it does less damage than a normal flamethrower, and I don't know why. Because fire is fire, and fire should just do all the same damage. I think that it should do the same amount as the flamethrower stratagem, but just have smaller ammo capacity and tank capacity. It has that. It just does less damage. I don't know why it does less damage. It should do the same amount of damage, giving it a place where people can take that and then have their flame build and then not have to take the stratagem flamethrower. But it doesn't fill that role. The stratagem flamethrower is still miles above it. So you have a subpar flamethrower that takes longer to kill enemies and burns the ground and kills your teammates. After that, I gotta put that thing in treason, man. Sorry. All right, the next one, the Jar Dominator. This guy was my favorite gun when I first unlocked it. Now, they nerfed it a little bit, and unfortunately for me, that nerf, I think, was just a little too much. I gotta put this gun in A tier. It's a solid medium pen gun, but it has some quirks that kind of hold it back. For one, it shoots like these little, I think it says it like rockets or something, but they're projectiles. So they fall off they don't fall off quickly, but they do fall off if you're actually trying to shoot enemies farther out. And because the damage nerf to it, they don't kill stuff as fast. It does have knockback when you hit medium units though. So I think the Jar Dominator is a solid A tier weapon. It's not great for dealing with a lot of small units in your face. So if you're out there with something else to cover you there, then I think it's a solid weapon to kill the medium targets with it. All right, let's get into secondaries. This will be quick and easy. This video's gone on long enough. All right, the Peacemaker. It's a gun. It works. It's your starting gun. It's fine. The Redeemer. It's also a gun. It has a little bit faster fire. It has a faster fire rate, and it's like a little machine gun. The Verdict, S tier. The medium, it's a decent magazine fed hand cannon, does good damage, medium armor pen. Boom, S tier. Senator, S tier. Another amazing gun. It's a revolver, it's badass. It has heavy armor penetration. What more can you ask for? The Stun Lance, S tier. It is the best. I think it's the best melee weapon. It has the farthest reach. It stuns enemies when you hit them, so you can just go to town on them. It's badass, amazing. Stun Lance, S tier. Stun Baton, B tier. Same thing. It can stun enemies. It has a shorter range. Doesn't do as much damage. It's cool, but it's not as badass as the Lance. So we're gonna put that bad boy in B tier. The combat hatchet, A tier. It's a fucking hatchet. You hack things up with it. I will say it doesn't stun when it hits, but when it does hit, it just cuts them up. Boom, A tier. Stim pistol. God bless anyone who takes the stim pistol. You are the best person. I appreciate you. You're my medic hero. Stim pistol, S tier. Comes with a good amount of, it comes with a decent amount of ammo. It heals your teammates. If you're running that support role, this is necessary. Stim pistol, definitely S tier. Bushwhacker, definitely A tier. Oh, sorry, we'll put it here. It's a sawed-off shotgun. What more do you need? It's solid, does good damage, can kill almost all small, medium units. Great. The crisper. This is interesting because because all the criticism I gave the Flam 6 Torture, I kind of don't necessarily feel as strongly about the crisper because I'm going to give it A tier. It's a pistol that you can basically kill a charger with. Now, the only problem with this is it takes an hour to kill them because it doesn't do a lot of damage and like a magazine or two, but it does do it. So actually for that, we got to put it in B tier. We'll put it in B tier. It's not treason to use, but there are much faster methods to killing those units than the crisper. But it is cool that it's a sidearm flamethrower. So for that, B tier. Grenade pistol. We're going to put this in A tier because comes with a decent amount of ammo, great for closing bug holes, great for blowing up factories, decent stuff. It's a decent utility weapon, and it's good for killing a bunch of little guys if they're all packed together. The Laz 7 dagger, I'm going to get, I can see it now. Everyone accusing me that I hate laser weapons, but it's not true. But this thing is absolutely treason. It is garbage. The time to kill is too high. High. Takes too long to kill stuff, basically. And I just think that the other handguns up here are just so much better. Why would you ever consider this thing? Yeah. The Ultimatum, S tier. It's a pocket orbital strike. This thing is amazing. You get 2 shots. You can blow up anything with it. The only negatives is it only has 2 shots and it doesn't go very far, so it's kind of dangerous to use. You might blow yourself up with it too. But yeah, other than that, S tier. The Loyalist. This is also another S tier handgun. The Loyalist is the same thing as a Purifier, but just in a smaller form factor. Charge up, does big damage. You can still fire it really quickly in semi-auto form. Useful to have in pretty much all scenarios. All right, let's get into some grenades. Grenades are going to be pretty easy to go through, right? Frag, B tier. High explosive, B tier. Incinerary, B tier. Impact grenade, A tier. Impact grenade's A tier because it does all the stuff that the other grenades do, but it has the benefit of blowing up on contact, which is great for killing some medium units like the illuminated walkers, or even just like finishing off a charger who is a little wounded. So for that, definitely A tier. I think the impact grenades are just better. So like incendiary impact, better. Throw it up in A tier. Stun grenade is fine. I'll put it in B tier. It does a thing, right? People are gonna be like, oh, it stuns. It does a thing. Yeah, it stuns. But I'd rather have something that just kills everything than slows it down. So for that, B tier. Gas grenade. Damn. Gas grenade is A tier, S tier. Since with the recent buffs, it stays longer. It confuses enemies so they fight each other. It has a good area coverage. It does do a little bit of damage, and it makes enemies, I believe it makes enemies take more damage too. So definitely a S tier grenade. The Seeker. The Seeker is cool. I'm going to have to put it in B tier. It's cool because it floats around you and then it finds targets to blow up. It just never seems to prioritize the right targets. You could throw it directly at a guy floating above you and it'll curve down and go hit some stupid little guy, little zombie right next to you. So I think it's a cool item. Like, cool factor is high, but usability, I think that you'll be better off with some of the other grenades. Smoke grenade, this is treason to use. I don't know why you're wasting your grenade slot for smoke. I already can't see shit on the map anyways. Every map is foggy or has smoke on it. So you're bringing this to troll your teammates, and for that, you should be court-martialed. Thermite, this is S tier. Thermite is S tier because you can kill the biggest units in the game with it. Super useful to have something in your pocket that you can just huck at a Factory Strider or a Bile Titan and just watch them explode before your eyes. Great item, S tier, absolutely really good. Throwing knives. Throwing knives are going to be... throwing knives are just a meme. So they're not treasonous to bring because they're cool. Their cool factor is so high they're not treasonous, but their useful factor is so low that they're not good. So for that, I'm going to put them in B tier. Woo! That is a long, long video. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Let me know what you think on my tier list here. I think that pretty much every gun in this game, as you can see, is useful and decent. I just think that a few guns are absolutely awful and are treasonous to use. And if you use them, you should be court-martialed and sent to the brig. But for that, I do appreciate you watching. Thank you so much and have a good one. See ya.